How's everyone doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to another transfer update and some big developments to talk about today, starting off with Rasmus Højlund of Atalanta. Romano says that Manchester United have made an initial verbal offer to Atalanta for Rasmus Højlund of €50 million plus €10 million in add-ons. Atalanta have always wanted at least 70 million fee for the striker. Dimarzio saying that Atalanta have asked for around £68.5 million for Rasmus Højlund, but Manchester United expect to reach an agreement for what they have offered, 60 million plus add-ons. The next days will be decisive and the parties are hopeful that the transfer will be sealed this weekend. However, PSG are offering bigger wages to Rasmus Højlund than Manchester United, but the player has given his priority to United. PSG are offering the bigger wages though. Ornstein as well chimed in and said that Man U make the verbal offer, basically relaying what Fabrizio Romano said, for €50 million plus €10 million in add-ons. Atalanta wants 70. Personal terms are in place, talks are ongoing, and optimism of striking a deal are there.
You saying Romano got ahead of Ornstein on this one?
Apparently so, yeah.
Jeez, that's very rare. Ornstein usually, like, it's so weird. Usually Ornstein tweets and Romano's just like waiting there. As soon as Ornstein tweets,
that's what they say. Romano's just a tapping merchant.
I think this clearly this one is going in the right direction because they already wanted 85 million for Højlund, and that's dropped significantly. So if it's 68 million, they've offered 60 plus add-ons. I'm sure they'll be maybe up it by a few million. This is going to get done. I think it's a very good signing, very exciting signing for Man United. I think he slots right in as the number 9, and I think that he's going to be a great signing for them long term. He's going to be there for a few years. Obviously, there's a lot of pressure on the young lad who's only 20 years of age and only got 9 Serie A goals, but I truly believe this is a star in the making, and I don't expect him to have a Haaland season or anything next season, but I expect him to really contribute. I'm sure that there's going to be a period in the season where he's out of form and maybe he needs a rest and stuff like that. But I expect him to hit between 10 and 15 goals. Yeah,
and if he gets that 10 to 15, that's a great season for your first year in the Premier League with the age he's at, with the experiences he's had. I think that would be a really good season for Rasmus Højlund. I'm very excited to see him in the Premier League and seeing what he can produce. But Man United, all of a sudden, looking like they're having a decent window with the keeper in, Rasmus Højlund along the way, and the next player as well, who could potentially be coming over the line. So I think it's looking like an all right window at the moment for Man United.
Yeah, and as well, maybe if Sancho, they can get him playing again, all of a sudden their squad seems to be coming together. But you've got to remember they are in the Champions League as well, so their squad is going to be stretched a bit, but they're doing all right at the moment.
Do you think
Mountain as well, Mason Mount?
Yeah, that's true. Do you think that they need another striker as competition for Rasmus, or are they all right in that department now?
I think ideally, yes, but I don't think they should be concentrating on it. I don't think it's a massive necessity. I think look, they've got Martial. I think he can be a backup.
Fair enough. And let's talk about someone else who could also be making his way to Old Trafford, and that is Sofian Amrabat, as Corriere dello Sport saying that Man United are ready to accelerate and formalise an offer for around €25 million for Fiorentina's Sofian Amrabat. I mean, the rumours for this guy has literally been non-stop for about the past 2 years now, or 1.5 years, and it looks as though finally we could be coming to an end. He's been a star in Serie A for the past year. He was a star at the World Cup as well. So maybe he'll be a star in the Premier League for this coming season as well.
He has a great agent, that's for sure. Definitely drumming up all this interest. I think he's a good player. I don't think he moves the needle massively for Man United, in my opinion. They got Casemiro, they got Eriksen, they got Mason Mount there now. They've still got McTominay and Fred still at the club.
Some serious midfield options there.
So they got some very good options. I think Amrabat probably moves ahead of Fred and McTominay in the pecking order. Obviously, they're looking probably to be left. So I think in that sense, it's an upgrade. I don't see Amrabat joining and all of a sudden it revolutionises their midfield options. I just think he's a good squad option, in my opinion. I don't think he's guaranteed to start every week, but I think it's a good upgrade on McTominay and Fred.
Yeah, I mean, I think McTominay will be out the door. I think Fred will probably be out the door as well, to be honest, this summer. And when you're looking at, for the CDM role, options of Casemiro and Sofian Amrabat, I mean, those are brilliant options to have. And when you're looking at rotation for the Cups and for the Champions League and all the games that they're going to play this season, I think it's really good options for them to have. And I think it'll do them the world of good. And I think he's much better than the likes of Fred and McTominay.
I think when Fred was at his best, I don't think he's that much better than Amrabat's that much better than him. But
you can never get consistency.
Yeah, he's a bit inconsistent, but at his best, I don't think there was that much difference in my opinion. I think Amrabat's good. I think he's a bit overrated, to be honest. I think everyone because he had a good World Cup, everyone sees him as this world class midfielder. I think he's a good midfielder. I don't not saying he's average or anything, but I don't think he changes that much for United in terms of their options.
Geez, him throwing the shade at Sofia and Amrabat. Let's move on and let's talk about Aston Villa's goalkeeper Emi Martinez, as TYC Sport are claiming that Inter have made a €15 million bid for Emi Martinez. The Serie A side see the World Cup winning goalie as the replacement for Andre Onana. Do you think this is a good move for them?
Probably. 15 million is pretty cheap. I'm sure it'll probably have to be more than that because Villa have no reason to sell. He's their number one keeper. He had a great season last season. So I don't think he's going to go 15 million. There was talk to Jan Sommer as well. I think he's maybe a cheaper option. And maybe if we can get the price for him, that'll be a good option. I think Emi Martinez is a good signing. I don't think I personally don't think he's an amazing keeper. I think he's a good keeper, and I think his shithousery earns him more points than maybe that he's worth. I don't think he's as good as Onana. I think he's a good replacement. I don't think he's like a massive downgrade, but I do think he is a downgrade.
Yeah, I agree that he is a downgrade, but I think like when you're looking to replace Andre Onana in the current market now, there aren't that many better goalkeepers on the market than Andre Onana, to be honest. And Emi Martinez, I think in Serie A will be probably one of the best goalkeepers in that league. As much as he isn't an upgrade and he is a downgrade, I still think it's a good signing, to be honest. Let's talk about another keeper in David Raya. Gazzetta dello Sport claiming that Brentford goalkeeper David Raya is being lined up by Bayern Munich, opening the door for Jan Sommer to join Inter Milan. So a bit conflicting reports there in terms of which goalkeeper will go to Inter Milan. But it's a weird one, no? David Raya to Bayern Munich? I mean, I don't get that one whatsoever.
Well, Neuer's got a long-term injury, and he's also getting on a bit. So they signed Jan Sommer in replacement for him. Obviously, they're looking for a new, probably long-term number one. And maybe they've identified David Raya as an option. I think Raya would actually fit in quite well at Bayern Munich in terms of the way he likes to play football. But I don't know. I don't know. Will they stump up the 40 million? Obviously, we didn't, and Man United were interested and they didn't. It would be an interesting move. I think unexpected move if he was to go to Bayern Munich. But I actually think it wouldn't be a bad signing. Have him and Neuer as their options for when he comes back. I think he's good with the ball at his feet. I think he's decent at what Neuer is decent at as well. So I can actually think it makes a bit of sense, but it depends if they can get the price.
That's the thing. Bayern Munich changing up their strategy a little bit recently in their transfers. They seem to be only shopping in the Premier League at the moment. What is going on from João Cancelo on loan in January, and then you're looking at this summer, you're looking at Harry Kane, David Raya. Mane also went last year, and who else? And they're also rumoured to get Kyle Walker as well this summer. So literally that only shopping in the Premier League.
Tuchel influence.
Yeah, I guess. Next up, let's talk about João Cancelo, and Sport are claiming that Manchester City have placed a €50 million valuation on the out-of-favour fullback João Cancelo, with Arsenal and Barcelona interested. I mean, I can't really see Barcelona spending that kind of money unless they sell a couple of players, so I guess that probably only leaves Arsenal.
Well, they do need a left-back, don't they? Because Jordi Alba's gone. He was a left-back there for a long time. I don't know if they've replaced him or not. Yeah, he would fit in right there at left-back if they would spend the money. They've also, the price has dropped because it was 70 million in January, and all of a sudden now it's 50 million. You've got to remember, 6 months ago, he was considered one of, if not some would argue, the best fullback in the league.
Yeah.
And he fell out with Pep Guardiola just before the World Cup. He had a poor World Cup, went to Bayern, has had an okay time at Bayern, but they decided not to spend the money on him. So it's been a very weird 6 months for João Cancelo. I actually think he's a good player, but I think he benefited so much playing at Man City and under Pep Guardiola and his system. I think it may be a bit like how Raheem Sterling was is a good player, but in the Pep system he was like world class. But I don't think he's actually a world class player. But in that system he is world class, and I think that's similar to Cancelo. I think he's a really good player. I think in the Pep system he's a world class player, but I don't think I think anyone is going to struggle to get the levels out of him he hit at Man City in their team. So I think it would be an amazing signing for Arsenal, as a replacement. I think he's probably an upgrade in Zinchenko in that position. But I don't think anyone should expect a City level from Cancelo, in my opinion.
I think this guy's attacking output, is absolutely sensational. The magic he can produce with the football at his feet, I think, is absolutely, top tier, to be honest, in my opinion. I think defensively is where he needs work to his game, to be honest. And I think whoever gets him, in my opinion, I think is getting an absolutely stellar player. But I don't know, just something doesn't sit right with me with João Cancelo. He was He was on the bench for Portugal at the World Cup. They didn't seem to fancy him. Pep Guardiola's clearly fallen out with him. So is there some attitude problems there?
I don't know. It's a very strange situation because he got dropped for a bit just before the World Cup. I think like Rico Lewis was playing.
Yeah.
And maybe that he got the hump a bit, and all of a sudden he started kicking up a fuss. Then he fell out. Then he's fallen out with Guardiola. It's a weird situation because they seem to be, have a great relationship before. And Guardiola not actually got the best out of him. We never saw levels before Man City of this Cancelo as we did over the last 18 months. But last 6 months have been really strange.
Yeah, really has. And for a player of that quality, I really hope he can get his career back on track. Hopefully, not with Arsenal though. Not going to lie, even though this is supposed to be an impartial channel. Let's talk about Romeo Lavie now, as The Athletic are reporting that Southampton have rejected a £37 million bid from Liverpool for Romeo Lavie. Romano says that Liverpool are set to make a second formal offer worth £45 million, which will be £42.5 million upfront, £2.5 million in add-ons, and Liverpool want to get this deal done as soon as possible. And I think this would be a great deal for Liverpool.
I think long term it will. I think in the short term, I think if they have Lavia, McAllister and Szoboszlai in the midfield three, that's going to take some getting used to, some learning, and it's going to, and as well, I think it lacks a bit of solidity and experience, in my opinion. So if they got dreams or ambitions of this season challenging for the title, that midfield three, I don't know if it'll be enough to see them over the line. But it would definitely be better than last season. But if, let's say, they keep Fabinho and they have Lavia, and Lavia can learn off him for a year or two, then I think it's the perfect signing.
I think that's invaluable. If Fabinho was to stay and Lavia could be his understudy for a year, I think it would be literally invaluable for him because of how good and experienced Fabinho is. But I really believe in Romeo Lavia. I think he's a brilliant player. I think he's got a massive future ahead of him. I really enjoyed watching him for Southampton last year. Even though they did go down, he was one of the shining lights of that team last season. And yeah, I think maybe you're right. It might not bring what they want. It might not propel them into a title race as soon as next season. But I think bringing in Romeo Lavia, I think they've sorted out their midfield. If that midfield three stay together for the next few years, I think Liverpool are going to be a big team in the Premier League for years to come, to be honest.
True that.
And then last but not least, let's talk about Arsenal striker Florian Balogun, as the Mail are reporting that Balogun has been training alone during pre-season, with Inter Milan expected to make a £35 million bid for the Arsenal striker. And this one's a weird one for me because I don't understand why he's training alone, being an Arsenal Academy product and coming back into the team after having such a successful time in France last year, scoring above 20 goals. They've got a player in Eddie Nketiah, and when I'm trying to compare those two players, I think Balogun could be ahead of Nketiah, or should be ahead of Nketiah in the pecking order right now. So I don't really understand why Arsenal are trying to push him out like this.
I don't think they're trying to push him out. I think he wants to leave. I think that's the deal. I think he doesn't want to sit on the bench behind Jesus. I know he might even feel like if he stayed, maybe he can even take Jesus' place, but I don't think he wants to even take that risk. I think you can even see that in his international career. He could have played for England, but he wants a guaranteed spot, so he's gone to USA. And now he's guaranteed to play every week. He's scoring his debut and he's having a great time. Last season, had a brilliant time out in France. I was scoring over 20 goals, given the opportunity to start every week. He was probably a bit frustrated the season before that. He was like on the bench a lot for Arsenal, barely getting any minutes, and then went on loan to Middlesbrough, and he just probably wants his future settled. So I think it's probably Balogun trying to force the move himself, and I think he wants to be number one somewhere.
Do you think that... what do you think of that mentality of being like, oh, well, if I'm not going to start like right now, I'm just going to jump ship? And if you're saying he's doing that with his club and his country, do you not think like that's not a great mentality to have?
No, I think you can look at it both ways. I think he wants to play. He wants to be somewhere where he's getting minutes. He doesn't want to be somewhere where, look, you could argue you should always battle for your place, and especially if he's an Arsenal Academy product. But I don't think it's a bad mentality to believe in yourself and believe you should be starting every week. And if you're not guaranteed that at Arsenal right now, after a season he's just had, look, he's just had a 20-goal season in a top league in France. That's no mean feat. So I don't think he wants to come back into Arsenal and then, look, Jesus is a good player and he really fits the way Arteta wants to play. So Balogun can be good and still be behind Jesus. So I don't think he wants to take that risk. He wants to just be somewhere where they fully believe him as the number one striker from the off, and we may maybe be on the end of a transfer fee. I don't think it's a bad mentality. I just think he believes in himself that much. And if Arteta can't give him any guarantees, he'll look elsewhere.
I get that, but I mean, look, I guess there are two ways to look at it. But if he really did believe in himself, surely he would believe in himself to take Jesus' spot at some point during the season.
Yeah, but if Inter Milan are coming and then say, look, you can partner Lautaro Martinez, or we want to see you as a partnership, or he's Arteta saying, look, we've got Jesus, I think you're a good player, but you got to battle out Nketiah and Jesus, and you just got to win the battle. I think Inter Milan is probably the better option there.
Interesting. All right. Well, there you have it. That is the transfer update for today. Let me know in the comments section below your thoughts regarding all the news stories we've brought to you, and we'll see you soon.